In this video, I'm going to show you how to remove the case nut from a bottoms-up beer dispenser, replace the nozzle post O-ring, and then replace the case nut back onto the dispenser. This process will be used for both changing the nozzle post O-ring, and if you need to replace the case nut with a new one, you'll also follow this video. So, tool required is a large crescent wrench that opens wide enough to be able to get on the flat spots of the case nut, and then a dental pick to get the O-ring off the top, or a push pin works well, like a poster pin. You can pierce it and get it removed. So you first get the case nut secured with the wrench. Then you're going to turn it counterclockwise, and you might not be able to see it in the video, but I'm going to reach underneath and I'm going to hold the bottom of the valve so it can't spin. So on a long draw installation, you'd reach under the counter. In a keg cooler, you would open the door and you would grab under and hold the valve itself, and then turning counterclockwise, remove the case nut. Using the pick, get the O-ring off. With the new O-ring, I'm going to apply just a little bit of soapy water. You can use just regular water on it. You want to get it moist. You want to make sure when you put it on that you're not rolling the O-ring over the edge. You actually want to put it on, you want to get it in the groove, but you want to stretch it over so that the O-ring is not rotated on the top of it. If you do use soapy water and you were to roll it over the top, it'll normally reseat itself, but just try to stretch it over the top, get it to snap in without rolling the O-ring over. Now that the O-ring is back on, we have to put the case nut on, but there are 3 little fins here inside, and these little fins align the plunger assembly into the inside of the case nut here so that it will seal and seat correctly. But when putting the case nut back on, you have to get it back on the flow guide there. That's what we call that. And to do that, you kind of start on 2 of them, pushing it over the 3rd one while you're holding the valve again from the bottom. So the valve is held. You'll see that I'll try to point it towards you. I get the 2 in the back seated, and then I roll over the front one, and then now I'm inside the flow guide, or the flow guide is inside the case nut. This is the tricky part here. The threads on the case nut are very fine, and the threads on the outside of it can be kind of sharp for your fingers. So it is important to hold the valve up from the bottom, so push it all the way up against the bottom of the dispenser, and then you have to slowly rotate, and I like to rotate counterclockwise until I hear a click, and that's the threads mating together. And as you can see me rotating this, it doesn't take a lot of force to get it to start to thread on. If it was cross-threaded, it would be very difficult, and you could see that it would be misaligned. So if it's not aligned when you start to thread it, stop, rotate backwards while you're applying a little bit of force to the top of it. You'll feel the threads click in, give it a couple turns as a test, and it should be pretty easy to do to start it. And then you get your wrench out, go back on the flat spots here. And then I'm holding the valve from the bottom still. And so you're gonna then give it a pretty good go wrench tight. You don't have to go super hard, so that's just probably a little bit of force. You'll feel it kind of stop moving, and then you'll be good to go.